Would you go inside a paranormal house if you knew it was haunted? Standing face to face with a terrifying creature you can't explain? At some point in our life, we all question the paranormal world. There is only one answer to this question. Go inside and find out for yourself. Let's dive into the next story about a group of friends who did not take the paranormal world seriously. Well, let's just say, this story got an ending no one expected. Welcome to your next Chills Before Sleep. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe for us to provide you with more scary stories. Let us know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to enable all notifications. My name is David, and I'm a 26-year-old man completing his master's in computer science. This story happened when I was a junior in high school. I had a very tight-knit group of friends at that time. There were 3 guys and 3 girls in our group, including me. The guys were Jack and Nathan. They were my childhood friends, so of course I used to hang out with them. The girls were Lana, Teresa, and May. I was dating Lana at the time, so she had become part of the group, and Teresa was her cousin, while May was her best friend. This is how our little group came to be. Being stupid high school kids, we would often give each other dares. They'd usually be pretty mundane dares, like stealing the chalk from the teacher's table while she was in the room. But once in a while, someone would get dared to do something big and ridiculous. Those are the ones that we still remember to this day. I had never been a believer of the paranormal, so my friends would always make me do the so-called scary dares. They'd ask me stuff like spending a night alone in a cemetery or touching a cursed object. These dares had almost become a source of my side income. Being 16, I felt like I was invincible. I had to find out the hard way that that wasn't true. It was a late November evening when my friends first told me about it. "Hey Dave," said Jack. "So I've got the next dare planned out." It was commonplace to see him to be so excited, especially for dares. It was nothing new. I asked him what it was. He went on to tell me about a fantastical tale, about an old couple who kidnapped and murdered children and teens in a house in the middle of the woods. The dare was to investigate the house and snap a picture of the statues present in the middle of the house. People used to say that the couple had the bodies of the people they killed to build the sculptures, and their corpses are still preserved underneath the plaster. "But," said Jack, "I want to investigate it as well. It sounds so creepy." "Might as well take everyone else then," Nathan chipped in. Lana got really excited on hearing this. "Oh, yes," said May. "Let's make it a group excursion kind of thing," suggested Teresa. I was very intrigued on hearing about this place, and so a plan was made. We set out for the haunted house 2 weeks later, on a fine Sunday morning. I have no idea how we all adjusted ourselves into that one car. It was certainly very cramped. We had packed lunch with us as well. We were really treating this trip like a picnic and nothing more. We had even told our parents the same. It was a 2-hour journey. As soon as we got near the house, our cell phones stopped working. We knew it was probably due to being in a remote area, but we got a bit spooked nonetheless. Finally, we reached our destination. The house felt like it was out of a horror movie. I had no idea it would actually look scary. It looks like an old, rickety wooden house. The glass windows were broken up. There was a big tree looming over the house like a demonic shadow, making it look more menacing than it otherwise would have. I thought I had seen movement in the top window of the house, but I dismissed it as simple paranoia. I'm sure it would have made a beautiful paradise in its primes, but right now, it looks like a man-made hell. I started feeling uneasy. I think we all did. Nathan was the first to break the silence. "Well, its looks sure go along with its reputation." Lana's eyes met mine. I signaled for her to step out of the car, and she did so reluctantly. I stepped out with her. She held my arm in a death grip. You didn't have to see her expression to know just how horrified she was. "I'll stay with you," I told her as I stroked her hand in reassurance. She looked at me with a half smile. "I'm not going in there," said Teresa. She looked shaken. I can't say I blamed her. "Oh, come on." I started, but Nathan backed her. "Nah, man," he said as he went back into the car. "You all go, I'll stay with Teresa." Nathan definitely had a thing for Teresa. If he had wanted to stay back with her and potentially get some alone time with her, then who was I to stop that? I nodded as I looked back to face the house. I guess it was just going to be the four of us within the house. I was the first to walk towards the house with Lana holding my arm, and Jack and May behind us. I opened up the door and entered it. The interiors were pitch black, even though it was daylight outside. I was scared. I'm not afraid to admit it. I didn't believe ghosts existed, but this was a primal fear, like a fear that had been installed in humans long ago to stop them from becoming prey. There were cobwebs all over the house. I turned on my flashlight. The house had a lot of old rickety furniture. There was also a big portrait on the mantelpiece. It showed a man sitting on a throne and a woman standing beside him. I thought I saw his eyes shift, and it really startled me. "Let's just go take the stupid picture and go," Lana said and rushed into the other room. Jack, May, and I followed. We were all really on edge. I was feeling deeply unsettled. The next room had some windows. We were glad to have the darkness be interrupted by a little bit of light that entered the windows, but the one thing that shocked us was that the windows had a lot of fingerprints on them. Children's handprints. Thousands and thousands of them. Lana buried her head in my chest, unable to take the scene in front of her. "What the fuck?" said May, holding Jake's hand. "There's something seriously wrong with this house," Jake chimed in. "Yeah," whimpered Lana. "Let's just get out of here, please. Fuck that stupid dare." Jake tried to open the door to the previous room, but it wouldn't budge. I helped him, and we tried to open the door together, but no luck. "Do you feel that?" Lana asked. "What?" I asked, confused. And then I felt it. Someone was tapping at wood. But it wasn't the door. Someone was tapping on the wood from beneath the floorboards. "Run," I said as I took Lana's hand. We ran to the next room as Jake and May followed. As we entered the next room, the door shut on its own. We were there in the center of the house now, and the infamous statues were there too. I raised my hand and with my Polaroid, I snapped a quick photo of the statue. "Seriously?" screamed May. I looked at her apologetically. "Let's find a way of getting out of here," said Jake. We started trying to find an open window or door to escape through. I was trying to open a blocked door when someone tapped on my shoulder. It was Lana. Her voice sounded low and scared. "Do you think that statue changed positions?" she said. I looked at the statue. It really had changed positions. When we entered the room, it was in a standing position, but now it was sitting with a hand under its chin. I blinked. It changed positions. I blinked again. It changed positions again. "Guys," I said, "there's something wrong with these statues." May and Jake turned to look at the statues as well. I was trying really hard not to blink, but I couldn't help it. I blinked. When I opened my eyes, all of my friends were screaming, and I saw the reason. The statue was now hunched over me and had its hand open just an inch away from my throat. I really felt like I was going to start crying now. I was terrified, scared for my life. That's when a small girl barged into the room from the door that had been closed just a moment before. She looked like a completely normal 9-year-old girl, but then she smiled, and as she smiled, Her face started twisting. Her smile was stretching all over her face, and her face became completely distorted. She drew in a breath and came out the shrillest sound I have ever heard. We were frozen in shock. A door swung open. She was screaming now, repeating one word over and over again. Leave. Suddenly, the room started becoming physically closer. The walls started closing in for real. I didn't know what to make of any of this. But I knew we had to get out of here. We decided to make a run for it through the door that had opened. It was a narrow hallway leading to the outside. We ran through it. I could feel something tugging at my feet. I looked down to see hands breaking through the floorboards. We were all screaming. I think some of us tripped a few times, but we got back up. We finally made it out of the house. I don't think I've ever felt so happy to feel the sun shining on my skin. We looked at the car. I thought that since Nathan and Teresa had stayed inside, they'd be feeling normal, but there was a look of utter horror and shock on their face. On seeing us approach, Nathan opened the door. We got in as fast as we could, and I told Nathan to gun it. We didn't talk for a long time. I guess our minds were trying to make sense of what we had just witnessed. Lana had started crying out of shock. I held her while she sobbed. I asked Nathan if everything had been okay outside, but he informed me that things had been far from normal. Nathan and Teresa had somehow fallen asleep while we were inside, and they had awoken to a horrifying sight. There were dozens of children surrounding the car. They were all pushing the car, almost making it sway like a feather in the wind. Teresa and Nathan were scared out of their wits, but the children disappeared as soon as Nathan heard my voice. We traveled back to Lana's house, and we decided to spend the night there. We were so scared that we opted to sleep in the same room. I have to say, I've had nightmares for months following that night, but it did bring our group closer together. Later on, Nathan asked Teresa out, and they started dating. I was happy for them, but imagine my surprise when May started going out with Jake as well. I was happy for them. My own relationship had blossomed with Lana, and I didn't know this yet, but I would later go on to marry her. I have to say, this incident in the long run helped us to come closer. That day had turned me into a believer for sure. I'm writing this story because I was looking into my old school memories yesterday. That's when I came across the Polaroid I had clicked that day of the statues. I turned it over and I was horrified to see it. The picture didn't have statues. It had children in it, standing in the exact pose that the statues were in, with tears rolling down their faces. Thank you for watching this video. Have you experienced a similar situation or another scary experience? Don't hesitate to submit your story by email or in the comments section down below. Ready for your next chills before sleep? Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe for us to provide you with more scary stories. Let us know what you think and don't forget to enable all notifications. Be the first ones to get the chills.